Welcome to Road Ahead Talks, powered by Jio Events and knowledge partner Sciative. We price right. I'm your host Anshu Jalora. Through Road Ahead Talks, we are bringing to you global thought leaders from different areas of expertise to shed light on what businesses and professionals need to do to better plan for the times ahead. Our guest today is a true pioneer in strategy, digital transformation, monetization, and value management. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Stephan M. Liozu, founder of Value Innoruption Advisors.
Good to be with you, Anshu.
Thanks you, Dr. Stefan. Dr. Stefan holds an MBA in marketing from Cleveland State University, a master's in innovation management from Toulouse IAE School of Management in France, and a PhD in management from the Weatherhead School of Management at Case Western Reserve University. His groundbreaking work in value and pricing strategies, differentiated digital strategies, and innovative programs, including subscription and usage based models, is widely recognized. He is a prolific author, and I have been very fortunate to have read some of those myself. And I'm truly impressed with the kind of stuff he is putting together for the business professionals. And he has written numerous articles in very prestigious journals like Journal of Revenue and Pricing Management, MIT Sloan Management Review, and Industrial Marketing Management. He has written multiple highly acclaimed books, including The Industrial Subscription Economy and Monetizing Data, and has co-edited several others on pricing and value management. He is a regular speaker at Professional Pricing Society conferences in Europe and North America and serves on the advisory board. He advises the BCG pricing practice and Backbench, showcasing his commitment to innovation in pricing strategies. Stefan, what a privilege to have you on the show today.
Thank you. Nice to be with you. And that's a long introduction.
And that's because you have had such a fabulous journey in pricing. And uh, let's get started with what got you started in this area. I mean, you have written so much about monetizations, digital transformation, pricing strategies. What got you started in this area?
Well, I'm certainly I did not study pricing. I was a marketing, and innovation guy, and I started my career in that, and then moved up the ranks into different companies, large and small. But every time I worked in marketing jobs or business jobs, I paid attention to pricing because I really consider pricing as a value extraction, right, methodology or tool. And then, I said, wow, why is it that companies really truly neglect pricing? What is it? It's always an afterthought. So I decided to do a PhD on the topic and try to really understand what's behind that. So I did my PhD, and then at the time I was a CEO of a medium-sized company, and I said, you know what, I'm going to go and evangelize companies and people, and I started doing things on my own and working with lots of companies, helping them transforming their pricing strategy and moving away from cost plus to value. And I'm really passionate about this because many companies invest a lot of money in innovation, in digital transformation, in sustainability, but they do not capture the value of what they do. And it's puzzling to me. If you're going to invest billions, you may want to think about an ROI or some kind of impact, or at least a contribution to customers, right? And that's what I do. I help them whatever topic or innovation they launch. Why not capture value?
Wow, fantastic. So it seems you believe that ROI on investment in pricing is very high and something that companies should look out for. So why do companies fail to notice this? Why are they so much about approaching pricing as an afterthought and not as a proactive strategy?
Well, there are multiple reasons. Number one, many of the leaders don't know about pricing science and what it does and the impact. That's number one. Number two, they are so busy chasing the shiny object. They always like divert funds to something that's bright and shiny, like big data and then IoT and then AI right now. So they put all the money in strategic innovations and not in the managing the core business. And number three is, I think pricing is still a very, I would say, dysfunctional profession. We are not organized like marketing or supply chain with very strong associations, very strong collaboration between consultants and academia. And then, you only have a few MBA classes in pricing, maybe a couple of executive programs. So the leaders are not trained. They just don't know what to do. So I did a study in 2019 that shows that only 20% of Fortune 500 around the world have a pricing team, which for me is puzzling. Who's managing pricing then, right?
That's a very shockingly low number. Only 20% of the Fortune 500 organizations have a dedicated pricing team. Now, pricing team, because the ROI they generate should be the bright shining star in the organizations, but
Yeah.
somehow it keeps getting neglected. Uh, now, uh, there is also a school of thought when it comes to pricing, which says that if it ain't broke, let's not fix it.
Mhm.
There's a lot of people who keep saying that let's only go with tried and tested approaches. Let's find out what the best practices are and stick to those. Whereas in some of your books, you have talked about applying disruptive strategies towards pricing. Can you
Mhm.
tell us more what you mean by that? Why do you believe disruption is the key? Why should organizations embrace disruptions rather than going with the old path?
Yeah. So, generally speaking, there is a phenomenon called flock behavior. A company does AI investment and then everybody follows in AI, right? So it's part of the nature of leaders to look at what companies are doing and to do the same, right? So we get into routine. We are very predictable. Um, you know, Look at the phone business. The carrier, the phone. They know what the next version is going to be. They know it's going to be foldable and flexible screen. So we know what's going on, right? Um, so in pricing, it's the same. It's too incremental and it's too predictable. Um, and I'm kind of the opinion that you need to shock a little bit, not only internally do mini crises to get people to think differently, but also on markets to kind of have a counterintuitive approach and take different routes, right? Take different strategic innovation play that would change the course of a market. So it's not for everyone, obviously, but and there is another thing that is very important is a lot of companies are doing very well right now, and why not do even better, right? So we're happy with a 15% operating income or 12%. And I'm like, well, invest in pricing and get another 2 or 3 points. And I agree with you. It's like, well, it's maybe risky, or why change the course? Why invest in technology when I can get 15%? So I think it's a combination of lack of courage, laziness, they don't want to do it, and then risk aversion.
So it's risk aversion, laziness, lack of courage. You also mentioned there are some industries where it's relatively easier for them to adopt disruptive approaches. Can you talk more about that? What companies have opportunities of doing something different? And I know you have talked a lot about pricing strategies for SaaS-based companies. Are there any hidden secrets that you would like to share with SaaS companies on how they can improve their pricing strategies?
Yeah. So, SaaS has the same issue than the rest of the business. They do the same things. They all do webinars, they all do subscription, they all do white papers, and it's quite boring. And frankly, and I think we need to think on the marketing side. We need to think more creatively and bring strong value to their customers and prospects. But on the pricing side, you know, um, there are so many SaaS solutions today available to a CEO, CFO, CRO. They just can't keep up. They just it's impossible in the mind of someone to look at all these solutions and to understand which does what, right? I mean, obviously we know the Salesforce, we know the Gainsight and companies like this. But if you're a new company or a growing scaling company in the SaaS space, how do you create interest and attention, right? So you got to be counterintuitive, and that includes the pricing. Pricing cannot be the same model with, you have to pay upfront, you have to pay an annual subscription, and yes, I'll show to you the value, right? So, and pricing is also very predictable. We started with straight subscription. Now we're into hybrid subscription with a flat fee per month or per year with some tiered usage. But we all know that the future is going to be outcome-based pricing, because right now, there is so much saturation in the SaaS space. You have to be able to demonstrate the value and the impact that you are delivering to customers, and then have skin in the game. Now, this opens a lot of different consideration around controlling the process and managing the variable contract and delivery. But we all know it's going in that direction because some companies are already experimenting with outcome-based pricing or some kind of a hybrid, because customers are saying, hey, you know what, I have so many choices in software. Why should I pay what you asking me to pay, where someone else is going to give me a pure usage-based pricing model, or pay as you go, or pay for what you use, or outcome-based pricing?
So your thought is that future is going to be about outcome based pricing, and there is huge amount of innovation that's still left to be done. Can you share some case studies or examples where you have seen companies uh, have done this successfully and have opened new opportunities for them?
Well, so in the SaaS space, not many companies do this, um, because it's still very advanced. And frankly, I do not think they have the maturity to do that, or the interest. The financial guys, don't have the interest, and maybe the customers are not mature enough. If you look at some more traditional B2B, when you get into outsourcing, right? This has been done for decades. The logistical, IT outsourcing, being paid on outcome, on client satisfaction, on efficiencies. Some consulting companies do this. You could hire a pricing consultant or a strategy consultant and have a portion of that success fee based.
Mhm.
In the power and electrification business, some companies like ABB, and Wärtsilä, they'll take over the asset, manage it, and get paid on the output. So, I wouldn't say it's mainstream, but it's been done for quite a bit of time in some traditional sectors. I think it's coming. Even it might not be 100% outcome based because that's very risky,
Yes.
but it'll be part of the hybrid pricing model. And pricing is becoming more and more hybrid. And you know what? It's because technology is allowing the management of complexity. So you could be much more innovative in pricing models because then you have software that can manage that and do the metering, find the data, calculate the invoice, do the billing, and then you can optimize, so do the analytics. You couldn't do that manually for sure.
So you definitely see a huge role for technology in helping companies improve their pricing practices in terms of being going very granular with pricing, being able to adjust their pricing very rapidly, and being able to understand the markets much better. And I think this is the general direction that many organizations uh, have have taken. Now, you have talked a lot about digital transformations, and I think pricing transformations is uh, one area which a lot of companies are investing heavily in. Uh, is there a roadmap you like to recommend to organizations that want to embark on digital transformations, and maybe in context of the pricing technologies that they want to adopt? Like I myself have come across many situations where companies have spent millions but have not been able to get the proper returns which they otherwise would like to invest to receive from their investments in pricing technologies. Possibly they were not doing certain things right. Are there any pitfalls you uh, want to warn companies about, and any roadmap you would like to suggest to organizations?
Well, that's a very wide question and good question. I would tell you that I've written quite a bit on that, and I think, and I was working for a very large company doing a digital transformation and helping there. I think digital transformation is first and foremost a business transformation supported by technology and not the other way around. So for me, chief digital officers should be marketing people, business people, and not tech people. And when you do this, then you focus really on impact, on value creation, and on developing MVPs and startups that are really focused on bringing value to the customer. So doing IoT because you have to do IoT, and then again, you have 500, 600, 700 IoT platforms you could choose from. Wow. So, why do an IoT platform? So, you know, a lot of companies made mistakes to do everything on their own, to have too much of an IT tech play, and then they lack the skills. But really, overall, I think they don't focus much on monetization, and that's, I think, a strategic mistake, because you have to bring value everywhere, to stakeholders, to shareholders, to the customers, and have an ROI. So I agree with you. For the last decades, I think it was $1.2 trillion invested in digital transformation per year, according to IDC, and I would like to see the payback on this. I would certainly be interested to see the ratio of successful launches. I've seen a lot of not so successful. I've seen a lot of projects being stuck in pilot mode and never actually scaling. And I've seen projects being launched with zero sales. I mean, it's puzzling to me that you would do all these digital innovations and not have some kind of a return. And it tells you that they do not do the market research. They don't spend enough time understanding the customer problems. They don't spend enough time quantifying the value of what they do. So, and we're going to do the same now with sustainability. Companies are investing billions in sustainability without paying attention to the payback with customers and the internal ROI.
So, lots of amazing tips for our audience. Focus needs to be on sustainability. For digital transformation, possibly a business centric person would be a better leader than a core technology person. And another
Mhm.
point you mentioned was that it's better not to do everything yourself, and also leverage the the ecosystem that's existing outside of your organizations, and speed up your time to bring in new technologies and experiment more. So, wonderful tips for our audiences. Thank you so much. Uh, Now, you also brought in this word monetization and sustainability. What is sustainable monetization?
Well, so it's monetizing sustainability is, it's what you do inside that's very, very good in your own transformation that you can package and offer to your customers to support their own transformation, and so you create assets internally that you can sell, productize, monetize, and sell potentially to customers. So let me give you an example. A company called Schneider Electric, a very, very large French company, they acquire a consulting company in sustainability, and they're offering services to their customers. When their customers buy technology from Schneider, they also get consulting services as an option, right? So other companies like Sandvik, for example, a mining company, creating an app, a software to calculate and the efficiencies of assets in the mining business and automatically give the carbon emission, the footprint. So that's the tool that you can download on your computer or iPhone for one of their customers. And they probably give it away for free, but it helps them justify the premium because Sandvik is a premium player. So you gotta put yourself in the mindset, what can I bring as far as value to my customer or consumers when I work myself on sustainability? Are those business models, green products, green services, superb events, some level of expertise, and all of this is monetizable.
So innovations, uh, more on the lines of delivering better value to the customers, figure out what else would be valuable for the customers that would open new sustainable monetization avenues for the companies. What a wonderful
Correct.
idea.
Yeah.
Uh, there's another topic you have talked a lot about, which is subscription economy.
Mm.
And you have discussed in multiple books shift towards subscription models. Why do you think companies and their clients need to embrace this model when pay as you go or lifetime subscription? That's a lifetime access. Those have been the pre, I mean, uh, erstwhile models that companies are familiar with. Why should they move
Yeah.
towards subscription?
Well, first of all, not every customer is going to be interested in subscription. So you have to do your segmentation work and understand which customers are either interested in convenient. A subscription is very convenient. I get future proofing on my technology. I always get software update. I get troubleshooting. I don't have to worry about XYZ. They like it because it's simple and maybe affordable. Some other customers may be cash strapped. They cannot pay upfront. So you would give them at a premium an annual subscription for whatever duration of the contract, and they're interested in that because they don't have the cash. So you gotta do your segmentation work and try to find the pockets of customers that are, really see the value in subscription, and usually as a service model, whether it's product as a service, software as a service, equipment as a service. So that's the first rule. It's not for everyone, and I can tell you, many companies launch subscription to all their customers, and it doesn't work. It confuses a lot of customers because they are not interested, right? So you have to do your work, and frankly, if you have good data, you should be able to do scientific segmentation and find customer pockets of customers that are interested. um, then you have to really focus again on subscription models or as a service models that bring a lot of value to the customer. A lot of the time I see customers wanting to, companies trying to launch subscription that brings zero value versus a transactional model. What do you do for me that I may as well just buy it up front, right? So it means that you have to have servitization. You have to bring a lot of value in services. You have to have a lot of value in analytics and data, because that is part of the subscription, and potentially AI. And so you would bring AI as a form of extra value to your subscription, and then the customer sees the value, right? Oh yeah, now I get always, like, if I buy it today, I get that version of AI, right? And that's it. I keep it for life. Now I can buy a service contract, a maintenance, but if I have a subscription for 5 years, I know that the AI in 5 years will be way better, and I'm going to get a lot of value 5 years from now. And that's a type of story that you have to create for customers.
And are there any particular scenarios where subscription is the right approach for customers, for companies to adopt with their customers? Are there any particular scenarios where uh, companies should not go for subscription models? Um, what are the challenges that companies face here?
Well, there's a lot of challenges. That's why I wrote that book specifically for industrial companies. It's a whole different business model, and the challenges are managing new functions like, software product managers. You have to have customer success teams. You have to have very agile and dynamic engineering, and the culture of dynamic changes. Right? You cannot be static. Um, Subscription work very well for equipments that get obsolete quite fast, or in sectors where you need to upgrade your software regularly. Um, and this is good value because you're always future proofing your what you buy. It's always going to be the latest greatest update. So that's, as a customers, I will look at this and say, yeah, I want peace of mind. I don't want to, every time there is an update, I don't want to put a stick in my computer, or have something that I have to do through the website. It's coming automatically, right? So it's in the cloud. I connect, I have an update, boom, and I get the latest greatest. So I think it works very well when you have a lot of dynamism, where technology is moving fast, or like Netflix and company in entertainment. There's a lot of new things happening quite often, and you want it. You want it, so you're paying for it. So it's very, when it works well, it's very, very high value and positive. When it doesn't work well, it's painful for companies that don't take it as an innovation. They need to understand that a subscription, you need to put thoughts into it. You need to create value, even more value, because in theory, if a customer pays 10 for an upfront purchase, in theory, they should be able to pay 50 for a subscription over the lifetime of the subscription. And that difference of 40 is a high level of value through services, upgrades, maintenance, AI, you name it. And then you show them, you could buy here at 10, or you buy 50 over 5 years, or 3 years. But here is the value story. Here is the value proposition, right? And it's a discipline of value quantification that a lot of companies don't do.
So when companies are offering subscription options to their customers, they need to think in terms of how well they can continue to keep delivering value to the customers, so that the extra that the customers will pay, they will feel that it's worth it. Now, earlier we also talked about outcome based pricing, and we are also talking about subscription based pricing. Do you see a confluence of these two approaches in future? Will it ever happen that these two approaches will come together and coexist, maybe in
Yes.
the same engagements?
That will be the hybridity that I talked about. Everything is going to be much more hybrid. And you look at the monetization space now, they're talking about concepts of complex pricing, total monetization, and these new models, whether it's transactional, subscription, usage based, or outcome based, they're getting mixed. And let's say you're selling a tractor, and why not have 10% upfront, a subscription over 10 years, right? Then you say, I'm going to also get paid 50 cents for every incremental, productivity that I'm getting, right? And then at the end of it, I'm rebuying the asset, or I'm reselling it. So, all that stuff is like very, very complex, thinking, complex in a good way, that you could think about, how do I really truly monetize the full value of the assets, right? But at the same time, I'm bringing tons of value to the customer. I'm taking risk, they're taking risk, and it creates loyalty over time, as long as obviously you can deliver well and you're very good at execution. Um, but and then the space of monetization is really bubbling right now. It's a huge space when you include payments and billing software, and accounting, some portion of accounting and cash collection. So where more and more it's going into a total monetization concept with a lot of technology. This is the beauty of this, is technology that is, you know, uh, allowing even small and medium businesses to do this, because now technology is more available. So in the big old days, it was, as you know, it was big companies only that could do this. Now, if you're a $10 million company or 5 million, you could buy a billing software that could do this for you. And it's plug and play, it's no code, it's pay as you go, and then you could do it.
Wow. So the future will be having opportunities for hybrid models for both subscription as well as outcome-based pricing models. Uh, and role of technology will be very high in all of these. Stefan, there is only so many topics we can discuss with you today, and when I'm looking at all the different pointers that are coming out from the discussion today, I can go on and on. Uh, but we only have a limited time with the audience today. So I know you have written lots of books where you have summarized your thoughts. Would you like to recommend one of your books as a must read uh, for our audience? Something which you feel is a definite read for them?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm writing my 15th book right now. So I've written a book called Dollarizing Differentiation Value, which is about value-based pricing in 2016. That's a very easy to read book on how to really extract value. If you're in the digital space, I recommend that you read either Monetizing Data or the Industrial Subscription Economy. So those are a very interesting book because I put a lot of research in it. As you know, I'm a researcher, so lots of nuggets and topics that will help you get started. Um, and then you can connect with me on LinkedIn and ask questions. I certainly can make a recommendation. And if you go on my website, I have lots of papers you can download for free, uh, and uh, and keep learning.
Yes, and we will add in the comment section of this podcast. We will add a list of all the different books that have been authored by Dr. Liozu, as well as link to his website, so that audience who are interested in learning more from Dr. Liozu can reach out to him. Well, it's been a fascinating and enlightening talk today. Thank you so much, Dr. Stefan. This has been truly inspirational. I'm sure you have created lots of curiosity. You have sparked lots of brilliant ideas in the minds of business leaders, and we hope they utilize your knowledge in their business practices.
Thank you very much.
And for our listeners, if you have not already done it, subscribe to our podcast channel for more enlightening talks on the road ahead. Thank you so much. Signing off now.